Welcome to Own Your Heart Health. I'm Dr. Regina Druz, your holistic cardiologist. This week, we will dive into common heart health concerns, uncovering root causes, and unpacking scientific discoveries and controversies. The information provided does not constitute medical advice. Please contact your healthcare practitioner before making any changes that may impact your health. Hello, everyone. And what do you know? We are at the vernal equinox. As I learned today, this is the day when spring officially begins and Earth, our planet, is in equipoise. We get just as much light as we get the nighttime. So 12 hours and 12 hours, we're right in the middle. We achieve the balance. And so today I have a guest who spent his lifetime refining, finding, and bringing us an idea of what it means to be balanced with regards to health optimization and longevity. And he is a doctor, but he's a doctor of pharmacy. And, you know, a very small tidbit for all of you is that pharmacists are our secret weapon. When we as physicians don't know our stuff, we call the pharmacists. They're like Ghostbusters because, you know, they can come and they can fix everything. So I present to you Dr. Nayan Patel, who has carved a very unique path in medicine, in pharmacology, of course. And we're going to talk about some of the most exciting topics that you already heard on the show today, but certainly hormonal optimization. And my favorite, oxidative stress and detoxification. Welcome to the show, Nayan.
Thank you for having me. What a long introduction, but I was listening to it. I said, this is very unique, and I appreciate the equipoise we are in today, because at the end of the day, all my message is going to be the same way. I said, hey, how can we do less for our body and recreate this balance that has been there for millions of years? And we're trying to play God by using medications and interventions to extend life and longevity. In reality, it's all about working with the environment and see what that needs. So thank you for reminding me about that one.
Exactly. And so, you know, I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all of my guests. How did you grow up to be who you are today? Give us your story.
Oh, my goodness. It was not a juicy one, but I was actually in aerospace engineering.
Okay. It is pretty juicy when somebody comes from another industry.
The thing is, if you think about it, back in about 37 years ago, the only jobs or only chances you had was working with the government, because we didn't have SpaceX like we have today. I wish Elon Musk was there and had that space thing available 35, 40 years ago. I would be a whole different person today. But that's not. But the thing is, I'm glad that he was not there, because they gave me a chance to explore a new world in pharmacy. Okay. And the world began in 1996 when I graduated from the pharmacy school. And I thought that I can change the world with medications knowledge that I have and help people heal. I quickly realized that all the medications, everything we got, was only going to maintain the problem, never going to solve the problem. And hence we are here today talking, because I chose a route that I thought is going to give us an opportunity to actually heal ourselves instead of just maintaining the problems that we accumulate as we grow older. And so I started my career as a compounding pharmacist doing hormone optimizations and hormone balancing. And from that early on, 30 plus years ago, I got a whole new appreciation of people that were actually not just looking for just hormone optimization, but looking at that as a stepping stone towards longevity. Mm-hmm. So I started training doctors and talking to CEOs and all the high net worth individuals and all those people that they're looking for. I said, this is great. I want my good hormones, but you got something from anti-aging? You got something for some longevity? I mean, the thing is, I'm dating myself now over here. But so my path has said, you know what? I'm a pharmacist. I'm sure I can figure things out. You know, I had no idea that I'm going to spend 27 years of my life just working on just one molecule, which is glutathione. But here today, talking about glutathione and what I have accomplished in my 27 years of career, not just as a compounding pharmacist alone, but using that knowledge to come to this stage to talk about glutathione as well.
Amazing. So, this is, I always feel so inspired when I meet people like you. And, there have been so many great guests on the shows because often, we as adults, right, we start to doubt ourselves. We start to kind of go and run in all different directions because let's face it, longevity as a concept, it's not really well defined. Yes, there's a lot of good research coming around. The research had become much more rigorous and intense, and artificial intelligence opened the way for a lot of things that we could potentially gather and find these patterns. But let's face it, most adults, whether they're patients or not, if you get a regular person off the street, and maybe I'll do it as an experiment, and you'll ask them, what is longevity for you? You're probably going to get 10,000 different answers, right? If you ask 10,000
Yes.
people. But you discovered that, one of the very fundamental pathways in longevity, and it's one of the hallmarks of aging, of course, is the one that has to do with the oxidative stress. So, this is a concept that I find that even as a physician, I have to spend a little bit of time trying to explain it to my patients. So I want to hear from a pharmacist perspective, like your career of nearly 30 years. What is oxidative stress and why should we care?
So let me, before I answer the question, I want to mention people one more thing about longevity, because longevity, most people that I talk to longevity is that, oh, I want to live longer. Uh, and so the only way you can live longer is, guess what? If you don't die. And so it's a very rudimentary answer, but the thing is, we'll look at it. If I can prevent car accident, and if I can extend your life, is not driving every single day and sitting in your home a recipe for longevity? No, because it's not living. You are stuck. So
Exactly.
you won't die of a car accident, but at least, but you die of some other causes. So if you think about longevity, the only drug that has ever shown to increase lifespan in the last 100 plus years, it was penicillin.
Mm-hmm.
Because 100 years ago, people were dying off of infections. And so
That's
because
right.
of that drug, or that concept of sanitary conditions about in surgeries and whatever you do, everything is sanitized now and people live longer. But today we will not take penicillin to extend our life. There's no way, right?
It's not
We
a
know that part.
senolytic, right?
No,
Exactly.
it's
It's
not.
not a
So,
senolytic, which is, go ahead.
so today, the number one cause of death is oxidative stress. It is
Interesting.
linked to thousands of diseases. So if we can conquer oxidative stress, we'll come to a new horizon in the near future that, hey, okay, we conquered oxidative stress now. We extended life by another 15, 20, 30 years, whatever we can get. I don't know. We can get 5 years. I don't know how much we will get extended of lifespan, but you'll come to a new horizon. And from there, we can see what else will cause us to die. And so we keep on conquering this path as we go. So to me, oxidative stress is something that is a natural process. Every human being has an oxidative stress, because without that extra stress in your body actually crumbles up and die. So it is not good to have zero stress. You got to have a little bit of stress so the body always stays in hyper alert. Oxidative stress, the word oxidative means what? Oxygen loving, right? We breathe oxygen every single day. Our body consumes the oxygen. It's the only energy source we get. But what happens, the process of using the oxygen also creates something called reactive oxygen species, called ROS. And that's the holy grail of what causes damage to the body. And if you want to give it an analogy, think about a nail. A nail that's outside in the sun, in the water, is going to started rusting.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't rust today, but within a few days, it starts rusting. A small speckle comes over here, rust. And if you don't do anything about it, within a few weeks, the whole thing will be just crumbled up into rust, and the whole thing is gone. That rusting, the process of rusting, is what oxidative stress is to me. And so all I'm always thinking is that, hey, my body is rusting from inside every single day. The rust
not a good image.
not a good image. But sometimes
But, you did mention something very important, right? So we have to breathe oxygen because that's how we survive. And reactive oxygen species it does actually have a useful purpose because we
Yeah.
use it to kill bacteria, to kill viruses, to kill the cells, which are old sort of zombie cells that our body no longer needs, right? So we can't be in this world without generating reactive oxygen species. Or these ROSs. But when we generate too many of them and we can't neutralize them, that's where the problem starts, right? So remember how I started the show with all this balance. There has to be this equipoise, right, between the useful stuff and the negative stuff. So how does one, what are the processes in the body? Sort of, what can one do to figure out, are they in that sort of good stress zone, right? They're generating enough of those ROSs and they're destroying them just as quickly as they come up, so the job is done, but, there's little damage? Or are they sort of kind of progressing more down the damage pathway?
So in my research, what we have found out is that about the age of 28, 29 is the first time there's a spike in the oxidative stress markers. That's the first time you see change in the epigenetic centers. The mutation is increasing. The body's aging at a pace which is much faster than a normal aging pace. And people don't think about 28, 29 is the starting point of aging process, because at 28, 29, guess what? You're invincible. You think
Right.
that nothing's going to happen to you ever, right? And anything that happens to you, it's because of I just got married, or because I just had a kid, or it's because I have a new job, or I changed a house. Or, people will blame the other environmental factors or other things that happens in their life from external sources is the reason why they're not feeling good. But in reality is that the very first time, if you pay a close attention to your body, is you start seeing changes in all these markers. And again, it's not enough to do any treatments because you're still within the range. You're not out of the range yet.
You're not sick. You're just not optimized.
Sick.
You're just not optimal anymore, right? So
right.
what are those markers that, and this is very interesting to me because I've been sort of diving into the longevity research and, humans, early humans, even like at the dawn of our industrial revolution, a lot of people would sort of pass away in their mid-30s, right? Accidents, infections, injuries. So but we cleared that hurdle because we took control of so many of those diseases. We're wearing seat belts and all of that sort of stuff happening, right? But now then we opened up the door to this aging phenomena, and we're learning that after 30, that's when aging starts to accelerate. And those are sort of like different trajectories. In some people, this acceleration is very muted. And, in other people, it's very sharp. I mean, I met patients in their mid to early 30s with horrific coronary artery disease or heart failure. And, and that's at the end of the day, that's the ultimate expression of that oxidative stress, of that aging process. So what are these markers that you would be looking for, let's say, in fairly, sort of young adulthood? If somebody says, hey, I don't want, to rust on the inside, let me take care of it now.
So the thing is, I have done so many blood tests. I've probably done thousands and thousands of blood tests for a lot of my patients and worked with the physicians all across the country. And there's a few markers that we look for. One is the MDA, which is melanaldehyde levels, is what we measured. We measured the 4-HNE levels. We also measures 8-hydroxy, oxidative stress markers. We also look at oxidative cholesterol markers, ApoB levels. But again, these are all secondary markers. I mean, the changes are already happening. And the thing is, for me, is that do I want to see a change in those markers to do an action? Or do I want to assume that, hey, this is the age, things going to go crazy. So let me prevent from even happening in the first place. And what you just said is absolutely correct, because heart disease is still the number one cause of death in the world, right? And think about it, the heart doesn't stop beating because it's getting weaker. It stops beating because now it has it has to exert a lot more force to just keep on going. And it starts with oxidative stress markers from early on. late 20s starts from there, and then onwards. And so whatever we can do to reduce oxidative stress, your heart can beat for that much longer. And to me, that is the best thing that can happen to you, because you can live with some of the organs not fully functioning, but you cannot live without the heart fully functioning. So I want to make sure
that's what I always say. I say longevity is vascular, because you can have the best muscle mass and the best bone mass, but if your heart does not beat, none of it moves. So that's sort of that's where we are. So very interesting, because we look obviously at holistic heart centers. We have a lot of patients who are looking for health optimization, longevity optimization, and these are some of the markers you mentioned. And please don't worry, everybody, about those chemical names, and we will spell them out. You'll get the full transcript, but we do measure all these markers, markers of protein oxidative stress, DNA oxidative stress, sugar oxidative stress, fat oxidation. So, oxidation, this rusting on the inside it's such a fundamental process that it actually affects not just one place, but very critical, important places. But Nayan, you said these are all sort of secondary markers. They're downstream, right? So what is the primary process that is happening in all of us as we, 30 and beyond, that is aging us? What is that sort of critical, chemical reaction or critical process that is taking place in the body that exposes individuals to unhealthy oxidative stress?
Well, so the thing is, oxidative stress is there every single day. And you need a little bit of stress every single, because without that stress, you cannot kill all the bacterial growth or getting rid of the zombie cells or the senolytic cells or the old cells. So the oxidative stress is actually necessary. The issue is not about oxidation. This little bit of oxidation is not oxidative stress, it's oxidation, right? When the thing increases,
it's life important oxidation.
Yes. But the thing is, if that increases, that's oxidative stress, because now it's above and beyond, because that increase in the oxidation is damaging the cells, damaging how we regenerate new cells, how we refurbish all the old cells and things like that. And so that oxidative stress to me is the chronic exposure of all this oxidation that your body cannot neutralize that part. And the thing is, I never appreciated how hard your body works to create this homeostasis. Because think about it. Every single day you go crazy and your body comes back to homeostasis. You go crazy and your body comes to homeostasis. But as you age, this marker where the benchmark is, it's also, when it goes out, it's also shifting. It's also shifting. Right. So you come back to homeostasis, but it's shifting going towards diseases, going towards something that is irreversible changes in our body. And to me, that I want to stop that from moving forward, because
you want to slow it down.
I want to slow down as low as possible, as so much. It's like people when they do Tai Chi, the hand movements are so soft and so subtle. I want to do that hand movements that are so subtle that aging literally stops for you, right? But by the time people realize that they need to do that part, are people in the 40s and 50s, which are usually about 15, 20 years late from the first start of the process. So I'm hoping that by listening to you and this conversation, that people will take the information and start. If you're in the late 20s, start today. And we have tips for you guys, by the way, how to get this thing done, because I have spent my whole life trying to figure out how do I get the oxidants down to as low as possible. Because what I've learned over my lifetime is that there's not a single product that existed that can actually bring oxidative stress down to zero. It was never there. I mean, there are thousands of products in the marketplace today that claim to be antioxidants, that claim they can bring oxidative stress levels down, but nothing actually ever did that.
That's amazing because, so first of all, this process that you're describing, this is a process of hormesis, right? The body
Yes.
maintains the balance. That's homeostasis. Hormesis is you, right? So you as an individual, if you get just enough stress to be beneficial for you, like think, for example, when you exercise at the gym, right? This is stress. It's stress on cardiovascular system, on the muscle, or if you go and do a cold plunge, oh, hey, that's
Yeah.
really stressful, right? But what that does is that the beneficial stressors promote adaptations. And that's the concept of hormesis. And so, the oxidative stress, when it's beneficial, when it kills bacteria, old cells, viruses, cancer cells, that's hormesis, right? But if,
Yes.
the adaptive, good cleaning out opportunity. But if your hormesis is not there, if the body systems are overwhelmed, because the damage is cumulative as we get older. And as you said, Nayan, by the time people in their 40s or 50s, it is mind blowing to see kind of how fast that aging compounding has taken place, right? And so
Yes.
if that is not addressed, you end up in a situation where there is no more hormesis because instead of these beneficial adaptations, there is further injury. And so it is super common. And, the word that is used here, as you said, antioxidants, right? People say, I have oxidative stress. I have another favorite word, inflammaging, right? This is what oxidative stress usually comes with. And, inflammaging even sort of gets mentioned as one of the hallmarks of aging. So inflammaging, right? So let me pile on the antioxidants. So what are the antioxidants from the pharmacist perspective? Tell us, what are they doing and what are they not doing?
What are they not doing? So before I answer that question, I want to say one more thing. I just came back from Antarctica. And guess what I did? I did a polar plunge. I was there there was such a big crowd. Everyone wanted to do that part. And so they kind of tie you on a rope so they can pull you back in, right? It was just crazy.
Oh my God.
Thing.
They would need to tie me like into 3 ropes and I will probably just like dip my toe and say, pull me back in,
Oh, no. I was there. I laid on my back for a little bit too. And then they started tugging you in. I said, oh, I want to stay in for a little bit longer. It was so refreshing. But you know what? As soon as you come out, your body adapts and you come back to normal. And that energy rush that you get after you come out of the water, because it was 0 degrees. It was absolutely the
crazy.
water was 0 degrees Celsius, so it's I think 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but it was just a cold water, right? But your body adapts really fast, and you get this euphoria experience for like few seconds to maybe a minute or so. That is what people do for it. Other options, you take antioxidants. So let me tell you about antioxidants, okay? So there are 3 categories of antioxidants. Okay, so I want to tell all 3 categories. One, I put them in bucket. I put it in 3 different buckets for you.
Okay.
Bucket number 1 is all the antioxidants, so-called antioxidants that you take from pills or juices and things from outside sources like vitamin C, vitamin E, carnosine, CoQ10, there's cholera juices and there's Monavi juices and some Amazon forage juices. I don't know. There's so much products out there.
So you eat them, you ingest them. Okay.
You ingest them. You take IVs of this vitamin C as well. And people do all kinds of things, so-called antioxidants from outside sources. I put them in bucket number 1.
Okay. Outside supplied, right? Exogenous antioxidants, like exogenous ketones outside of you. Okay.
Outside of you. Bucket number 2, your body produces endogenously inside the body some enzymes like glutathione peroxidase, GPX for short, or superoxide dismutase, SOD for short, or catalase, or a small peptides like carnosine, right? Mm-hmm. These are what the body produces, and I put them in bucket number 2. And the bucket number 3 is a molecule called glutathione.
Oh, wow. It deserves its own bucket.
Its own bucket. And the reason it's its own bucket is because guess what? Bucket number 3, which is glutathione, is more powerful than bucket number 1 and 2 combined.
Wow.
And that's a very profound statement, because you can take all the thousands of products in the world, all the enzymes that your body produces, Glutathione by itself is more powerful and can bring oxidative stress down to zero within seconds with just glutathione by itself. And
but
so
we produce it internally,
we
right?
produce it internally until the last breath. So our body can produce plenty of it as long as it has the 3 amino acids, glycine, glutamine, cysteine, which is from your diet. You have the 2 enzymes that the body needs to put these 3 amino acids together. The body can produce plenty of it. Provided it has ATP energy, which kind of gets lower as you start aging because of mitochondrial deficiencies. So ATP and NAD is an electron transfer molecule. As long as you have all these things available to your body can produce glutathione until the last breath. So,
but the problem is that when the body gets older and when there are chronic diseases in place and these environmental exposures, the glutathione production sort of starts to peter down, right?
And guess what? It starts coming down at what age?
30.
You guessed it right. Why? You see, the thing is, I had no idea because all the research I started looking at it says, hey, 30 is the first time I see a dip in the glutathione levels across all populations across the globe. And people could figure out why it was 30. Then they started looking at genetic markers, mutations started at the age of 28, 29. And so everything is sort of correlated, right? At 28, 29, you start seeing oxidative stress markers. You start seeing a reduction of the glutathione levels. Everything is about that 2 or 3 years. Everything is kind of, it's picking up the snowball of you can never blame a snowflake for an avalanche, but it starts from there, right? It starts from there. So age 28, 29 is the earliest thing you can start figuring out at that time. I said, okay, I got to change my life today. Don't wait till 32. Today's the day. If you're 20, 29, today's the day. Guess what they say? If you're in a desert and if you're in a tree, the best time to plant a tree is, guess what? 20 years ago.
Yes. The second best time is now. So
the second best time is today. So if you're 50, do not sweat it. To start today. If you're 70, hey, you're still alive. Start today. It's okay. It doesn't really matter.
So I agree with you. So let's talk about glutathione. Let's talk about sort of, because you made a couple of really important points, right? And some people right now are going to get upset at us because they might be taking antioxidants. And first of all, we always tell our patients to get on the antioxidant-rich diet, and it's still a great way. It's a baseline. You get a lot of nutrients in their natural forms, including the nutrients that Dr. Nayan will tell you in a few minutes that you will actually use to optimize your glutathione production, right? But a lot of people right now are getting upset because they are taking antioxidants, right? They sometimes, maybe doing intravenous infusions. And now you come in and you say, forget about all of this. What you really need is glutathione. And maybe you're like 20 years too late, although I give you some hope, right? So what exactly does glutathione do with, why is it more impactful than, as you said, the stuff that we take from the outside and even the stuff that we produced on the inside? Why is it more impactful than those?
So first of all, the number one antioxidant sold in the world is vitamin C. And if you think about vitamin C as a chemical, it is not an antioxidant. It's a pro-oxidant.
Interesting.
Then here's a question. How does vitamin C actually work as an antioxidant? If you think about the chemistry, vitamin C, okay, let me back up a little bit. Glutathione.
The pharmacist in you is coming out. Here we go.
The glutathione, it's a reduced form, right? The active form of glutathione is in a reduced form. And the reduced form gets oxidized.
So explain to people, please, what a reduced form is, because, I used to love organic chemistry, but I can't imagine that, a lot of people are like that, So what is a reduced form of something? Like, is it just a smaller form or is it like a special form?
It's a special form. It's not a smaller form. The reduced form is basically it's missing a charge on the electron. So that way it can accept the electron from somebody else and get it neutralized. But it doesn't get neutralized, it gets oxidized, so to speak, right?
So
and
hold
so,
that thought, because we're
yeah,
going to bridge the gap right now for our listeners, right? Because it gets a little bit technical. So these reactive oxygen species that we spoke about just
yeah,
maybe 10 minutes ago, ROS, they are not neutral, right? So in life, you could be positive, negative, or neutral, right? You could have,
yeah.
positive attitude, negative attitude, or neutral attitude. The
That's
same as, so for the molecules in our body, reactive oxygen species are actually not neutral. They are charged. They're usually negatively charged. And
yes,
because of that, as most people with negative attitudes, they're highly reactive. They need to discharge that charge, attach to something, and just unload all that negative energy, right? Sort of like you when you're hungry or something like that. So, so that's sort of the analogy, right? So we
yeah,
need to have an antioxidant or a substance that could allow this negative charge to be disposed of, right? And so
yes.
that's what reduced form actually means, because it will get that negative charge, sort of absorbed in, and it will get it neutralized.
Yeah, you're so good at this thing because I'm thinking of a pharmacist's brain. I'm looking at chemical structures and all those things, but I understand that the people need to understand what this is coming from. So thank you for
Exactly
doing
what it
that.
means.
So glutathione actually absorbs all the negative energy from our species. In that process, it gets oxidized.
That's
It
right.
gets oxidized. And so two oxidized molecule of glutathione comes together and becomes stable, so it doesn't damage your body, but it's stable enough that they can circulate part. Now, here's the thing. This oxidized form of glutathione, the stable molecule, can accept the energy from vitamin C and become
Mm.
reduced again, and become reduced again. So
So it could
vitamin C
recycle. It
is
served its
recycling.
function, but it could
Yeah.
recycle.
So vitamin C is actually recycling glutathione, oxidized glutathione, and making it reduced again. So you can go on and pick up a lot more energy from this ROS species. So vitamin C is actually not an antioxidant, but it's allowing the glutathione to recycle and act as an antioxidant. That's why people always say, "Oh, low dose of vitamin C is an antioxidant, and high dose is a prooxidant." I mean, vitamin C is not that smart of a molecule. Trust me, right? It's not that smart. It is just there to revive oxidized glutathione back to the reduced form. And so I just want to make sure people understand that part, because that's what the so-called antioxidants are. Now, the
Interesting.
glutathione by itself, it's an amazing antioxidant because it can quench all these free radicals really, really fast, faster than any other chemicals or any other enzymes in a body that's been produced. So that's why glutathione it's the most abundant molecule produced in the human body as a peptide.
Amazing.
It's the
Because
most.
it reflects our burden of these
Yes.
reactive oxygen species that we need to literally, you and I are probably quenching them right now as we speak.
Yeah. And so, anyway, so that's why I have such a high respect for glutathione in the sense that we gotta do that part. But it's not just taking supplements. I want people to understand, just taking supplements is not the answer of glutathione, right?
Okay.
You got to do 2 or 3 things before you supplement, and that should be your daily lifestyle. Because hey, I'll tell you one simple story. I asked my grandpa. I said, "Grandpa, how do people become rich?" And you know what he said? Rich people have low expenses. I said, what do you mean? Well, if you don't have anything to spend on, guess what? Whatever money you got, you're rich because you have nothing to spend on. And so you got to reduce your expenses. Whatever things that can deplete the glutathione levels out of your system, you got to stop doing that. Stop
Okay.
exposing yourself to pollutions, toxic chemicals. Uh,
Smoking.
Oh, that's I've not gone to that part yet. But this
Okay.
is just outside environment. Internally, the number one thing is smoke, right? Smoke inhalation is depletes the glutathione levels. And by the way, one drink of alcohol, one drink can deplete your glutathione levels for at least 4 hours to
So I
zero.
want you to hold that thought, because,
Yeah.
My patients know this, and I tell it to them all the time, is that alcohol is a toxin, right?
Yes.
It's not just, implications in atrial fibrillation and everything else. alcohol is a toxin. It is a toxic substance. And, whether you believe World Health Organization data or not, their research had shown that it is a toxin in any amount. So there isn't a safe amount. It is a socially acceptable toxin, but that's what it actually is. So one drink depletes glutathione.
For 4 hours. And I mean, recently we just heard the story about alcohol is linked to 7 different cancers.
Yes.
I mean, that's more cancers than smoke inhalation. So if you think about it, I don't care which way you look at it, just because it's flavored salt. I call alcohol as a solvent because it's a solvent. And solvent in a chemistry lab is the most toxic products in the whole lab. We have a special case, a metal case labeled poison. In that we store, guess what? Solvents. And we drink solvents because it's flavored. I said, oh my God.
And we wear protective goggles and everything on top. So you said so 3 things. So number one is to reduce these toxic exposures that deplete your glutathione. What is the thing number 2 then?
Thing number 2, your diet. Your diet should be rich on all the things that are necessary to increase the glutathione production on your own naturally, because your body can do it. So make sure your diet is a cysteine-rich diet. So cysteine is one of those amino acids that is not in everybody's diet, because these are the stinky foods, right? So it might not be in everybody's diet. So if you just put your favorite search engine or your AI robot, just ask that person. I said, hey, what are cysteine-rich foods? And you can get your vegetarian
garlic, onion.
Vegan choices, your omnivore, your carnivore, I don't care what diet plan you follow, you're going to get some choices. Make sure that those foods are in your daily diet plan every single day. And if you just do those 2 things alone, you can literally sustain your glutathione levels until the age of 35 to 40. Provided
already good extension.
It's a very good extension. I mean, by itself, you're thinking about 10 to 15 years of extension of life by just having a proper diet and not exposing to all these toxic chemicals. So that's to me, that's the best thing you can do for yourself. And at that point, when everything fails, starting the age of 35 to 40, and actually in most cases, 99% of the people are not going to be doing that part. They're going to start supplementation at the age of 30. And the supplementation is only glutathione. And to me is, glutathione, there are thousands of products out there. Which one is the best one to use it? And I'll go into detail about that product solution as well. But supplementation is only necessary and is only beneficial if you combine them with reducing exposure and having proper diet. So you got to have all 3 together.
So that's so important. I want to emphasize it again because, you have heard this on the show every single episode, right? Foundation is key. You need to build a foundation because no supplement, no hormone, no peptide, sometimes not even drug will actually do that foundational building part. You're the one who has to do the foundational building part. And it's hard because most of these solutions, they're not sort of like, oh, I'll spend the day doing it tomorrow and everything will be fine. Most of these solutions require you to change patterns in your life that very often have been long-standing habits. And some of those patterns are actually very difficult to change. I remember, for example, I had a patient who came in because he was advised to get a defibrillator. And he was advised to get a defibrillator because his heart muscle was very weak. We call this condition heart failure. He unfortunately was using a little bit too much alcohol. He was depressed. He was also working far away from his primary residence. So he was in traffic 2.5 hours one way each day. So about 5 hours in traffic every single day, inhaling all the dust, inhaling all the car fumes. And one of the solutions, the obvious one was to obviously stop his alcohol exposure. One of the solutions was for him to get a small studio by his workplace because he had to continue to be employed for a couple more years, to earn his pension and to quit. To get that small studio to cut down on his commute, not only to stop breathing the fumes, but also open up some time when he can have some fresh air, when he can go and exercise. this patient, we did a lot of other things, obviously, but this patient reversed his heart failure. He never had a need for defibrillator. He basically ended up staying healthy, vital, doing everything that he wanted on a minuscule amount of maintenance drugs, never needing a defibrillator device because his heart recovered. So there is a lot of power to these approaches, to this foundational approach.
It is. And I want to make sure people do understand that part, that, hey, we are here to help you, but we are God. We cannot reverse every single thing that can happen to you. And this thing came to me very clear because I was helping my wife in the kitchen one day cleaning the oven, right? Oven has all this melted cheese on there because we like to cook on their things. And it took me literally 2 hours to scrub every single thing in the oven. And in 2 hours, you'd assume it'll be spotless, brand new.
Nope.
No, it's never brand new. It's never brand new, right? And so I want people to realize that part, that we can help you as much as possible, but we cannot reverse every single damage that has happened to your body. So stop damaging in the first place. Prevention is so much better than treating afterwards. So
that's so true.
Yeah, so we can help you. We can get you stabilized and hopefully have a better quality of life. But I would rather prefer that you don't come to us in the first place because you prevented this problem from the very get-go from happening. And I want to make sure to emphasize that there is a way you can prevent this problem today, provided you stop smoking, stop drinking, a better lifestyle, stop exposing yourself to all these toxic chemicals, having a proper diet, making sure that those are important, those replace all the things, having a better sleep pattern, having a better exercise routine, having some time to yourself to enjoy all those things. And after all those things, if you're already 30, I only take one supplement, by the way. I'm not here to gouge any of the companies today because
and I know which one it is.
Yeah, but I only take one supplement because it's glutathione. And the reason is because that has been such a huge impact, not just in my life, but all my family's life, my patients' lives. And, I deal with all kinds of patients all over the world now. And it has made such a huge impact. And I get patients there in the 60s and 70s that have been damaged the whole body. And I was able to stabilize them, reverse some of the damages, not of course 100%, nothing's 100%, but they are able to have a very good quality of life moving forward. And so I'm going to help you save money today.
So tell people how to choose a glutathione supplement, what they should look for, is there anyone who shouldn't be using it, because as always, with supplements, sometimes, most people are okay with them, but sometimes there are groups of people that may not really benefit or where it could be a little trickier. So how should somebody, people listening to us right now, and they're saying, I'm going to go get that glutathione for myself, right? That's what's going through people's minds. I know it's going through my mind, so how should people approach this?
So I'm going to tell you the history of glutathione now.
All right.
140 years ago, glutathione was discovered. It was thought to be the ultimate product that can change the trajectory of how life can be in singularity, which is life in perpetuity forever. That was a thought process 140 years ago, that, hey, we can live in perpetuity for the rest of our life now. We'll never die if our glutathione levels are optimized at all times. That was a thought process 140 years ago. 140 years, nobody ever figured out how to enhance glutathione levels inside your body to the highest amount. Nobody figured out, right?
So solution is there, but we lost the key from that door.
Yes. And so the thing is, in 1999, I made the first liposome glutathione product in my pharmacy. Okay. Liposome is a technology that basically protects the glutathione, doesn't get broken down. Glutathione is a tripeptide, is a 3 amino acid chain peptide. So peptides are not proteins, but the body sends them as an amino acid chains, and they just chop it up and break it apart. Right.
Right.
The body
the stomach just incinerates everything. Yes.
It only absorbs the amino acids out of it. So I thought if I put in liposomes, It will protect from the harshness of the stomach acid, and hopefully will absorb in the intestines. But guess what? It didn't matter. It did not matter. The liposome forms were being destroyed. The glutathione was not getting absorbed. My glutathione levels are rising, and I couldn't figure out why it was rising in some people, not in everybody. But long story short, it did not work for me. So I said, okay, this is not going to work for me long term because I need guaranteed results in everybody.
You need to deliver it. You need to bypass the stomach.
Yes. So that did not work. So secondly, secondly, you know what? 2001 come out, I was just going to inject it. So I started making injectable glutathione. And for 20 years, I made injectable glutathiones. I was probably one of the largest producers in the United States. And if you think about 25 years ago, I was selling into Las Vegas where people were just getting drunk and getting the IV pushes. 25 years ago, it was unheard of it. People didn't even think about it. And now today, everybody gets it all the time. But 25 years ago, I was pioneering this whole in industry. We worked with some physicians trying to get this thing done. It did not work for more than 15, 20 minutes. And I go, why not? Why not? And then I found a research back in 1991 saying that, hey, if you inject glutathione, it only stays in the plasma, the water part of the blood. It never entered the blood cells, ever. Never entered the blood cells. And the plasma gets cleared by the kidneys every 5 to 15 minutes.
Very quickly, yep.
And everything was in the urine in the 5 to 15 minutes. And so it's
so expensive infusions for expensive urine.
Yeah, only for the glutathione. Okay, if you're doing some other infusions for all the vitamins like magnesiums and calciums and C's and all those things, go for it. Knock yourself out. But when it comes to glutathione, it did not do the trick. Now, it helped my people that were passed out and having a hangover because
it helped in acute situation.
Acute problems. It cleared the liver out with alcohol temporarily and give them a chance to survive. And guess what? We put these people back on the streets again, so they're drinking the second day again and come back. Which is a vicious cycle. I don't recommend it to anybody. So please do not use this. No, not a good choice.
Not a good choice.
So it did not work. So I knew that if I want to have a fighting chance of improving glutathione levels, I have to penetrate the cell membrane. And getting to the cell membrane is nearly impossible. Nobody has any technology in the world that can penetrate the cell membrane. So to me, I said, this is what I have to crack the code now. So I started research basically back in 2001, trying to figure out how to get through cell membranes. And so back then, there was new emerging polysaccharide sugar types of molecules that were being used to see if the cell membranes can penetrate that part. What we found out was on the cell membranes, there's something called lipid rafts that's there for cell-to-cell communication. Yeah. Now, if you think about it, if somebody were to transport nutrients all over the body, you get into the bloodstream, the blood goes all over the body, and you get nutrients everywhere in the body. Well, wait a second. There's something called cell-to-cell transfer, and they use lipid rafts to go through that. And so to me, it's okay, this is a tripeptide produced inside the cell membrane by the mitochondria. It's not in the mitochondria, it's in the cytosol, and then it gets transferred into the mitochondria. So I said, I need to get inside the cell membrane. If I can get there, it can go from cell to cell, transfer all over the body.
It could distribute, exactly.
It could distribute, and I don't have to worry about the bloodstream at all.
Okay, so tell us, how does one get it into the cell membrane?
So what I discovered was there's I took some bunch of polysaccharide molecules and I got to the cell membrane. I said, now the trick part is, how can I take this polysaccharide molecule, which is circular in shape, and stuff glutathione inside? It's like having a huge beach ball and having a small 1-inch ring and stuff the beach ball into that ring. It's impossible. And so that took me 7 years to figure out, how do I, using protein enveloping methods, how do I twist the molecules without losing the polarity, all those things. And in 2007, make them stable. In 2007 was the first year I discovered a way to squeeze this molecule, get in this ring structure, put it inside it, transport it through the skin, because skin cells are available to us immediately. right? I can use it in the buccal membrane, but buccal, there are a lot of enzymes. We'll chop it up. Nose was another choice, was a good choice, but nose, the pH was so low, there was literally having some burning sensation, which most people might be okay, but no, it's not a good choice for long-term usage. So only cells that were available to me was skin. And oh my God, it was like I apply over here and boom, it gets to skin, and the skin transports to the body.
Of course, it's one of the, not the largest surface, because our largest surface is actually our endothelial surface, but but it's the second largest surface. That's amazing. So one could reasonably elevate their levels of glutathione using the transdermal or through the skin application.
It's a topical solution. I wish it was transdermal. Transdermal is going through the skin membrane inside your bloodstream. It's not doing that. It's taking the skin surface, but that there was a research done just about a year ago. It was just published. One of the head of the neurology at NFL did a study where I had no idea, because he's a patient of mine. He was just buying the glutathione from me. And so he applied the glutathione, and he saw the brain glutathione levels just spiked.
Interesting. So did he apply actually, do you have to apply it close to the organ that you intend to influence, or you can just like do it anywhere in your skin?
I think he applied on his arm or his belly, and he saw the glutathione levels in the brain lit up, and it was nothing in the blood. So the body was distributing this. The only explanation, as I said earlier, the only explanation we have is there's something called skin cell-to-cell transfer using the lipid rafts. And
communication. There's cell-to-cell communication, so which sort of directs it to the right place.
Directed. And so now, this is just a recent study that was published. Even though I had seen the results in the past, I couldn't explain how and why, right? And so for the very first time, because here's the thing, you can inject glutathione, I don't care, 5,000 milligrams, 10,000 milligrams, and your oxidative stress will never go down to zero. With a topical application, I can literally get down to zero oxidative stress with only like maybe a couple hundred milligrams.
Amazing. So how often does one have to apply it though, right? Because as you and I just discussed, the damage is cumulative. It happens every single day from multiple sources. So is it something that one has to do it several times per day, once per day? Like sort of what's on the part of the user, right? What would the user need to do?
So I'm going to give you an analogy for a house. If your house is really, really, really dirty,
clean all the time,
right? What you're going to do is you're going to clean one section at a time. So when it comes to glutathione, slow and steady every single day is what you got to do. Because if you're trying to clean the whole house in one day, you're going to have so much reactions, because the body's going to go into like conservation mode. It's going to be having Herxheimer reactions, where you're going to have rashes and itching and headaches and diarrhea. People do not understand what to do.
We don't want those.
We don't, nothing like that. So slow and steady. 4 sprays, which is about 100 milligrams twice a day, is all you need. And slowly start detoxing your body. And it's not like, okay, let me back up one more time. Glutathione is only doing 2 things for you, by the way. It's not. It is not this miracle molecule that people think is going to solve all my problems. It only does 2 things. One is it's an antioxidant. That means it quenches all the free radicals, both of oxygen and nitrogen. Keep in mind,
we haven't even discussed reactive nitrogen, but that's okay.
That's okay. But nitrogen is essential for our blood pressure and for heart functions. All that is very essential. Nitrogen is a very essential gas. But nitrogen reactive species is also damaging to the heart as well. So those have to be quenched and they have to be neutralized. So both oxygen and nitrogen free radicals have to be neutralized. That's one thing. The second that the glutathione does, it aids in the conjugation pathways in your liver, where it attaches itself to active chemicals or metals and things like that, where it can destroy, it gets destroyed in the process, but it can eliminate through your liver once and for all.
So it's a detoxifier, right? So it's important for people to understand that's what that conjugation process actually means. It's about liver detox. So not only is it a master antioxidant, it's also a detoxifier. That's why when we have a deficiency, it influences so many chronic conditions, because both, all of the chronic conditions get worse, unfortunately, when the oxidative stress builds up and detoxification capacity decreases, right? So that's sort of like that room for chronic, conditions, degenerative conditions.
So those two processes, if they're taking care of it, imagine the whole human biology now is free to do whatever he wants to do. Because to me, it's the most important thing in our body is to quench the free radicals and detoxification. When those two things are done, you're actually unleashing the human potential to do whatever it wants to do, right? And to prove that, I did a study. There was a human trial done 2 years ago. It was a medical school in California.
Okay.
What they did was a 3-day trial. 3 days trial. You give glutathione twice a day. Just 100 milligrams is what we talked about. Just 4 sprays twice a day, and for 3 days. And what they did was they took the blood and in the test tube and infected the blood with mycobacterium infection. Ooh. Now, mycobacterium has no cure at this point, right? There's no antibiotics, nothing else, right? So what they said, hey, what could happen, right? Just indulge with me. These are the results, and these are very shocking, right? When you apply the glutathione, within 1 hour, they saw reduction in the oxidative stress markers within 1 hour.
Wow! So
that was proven, and it was not just like 5 or 10% or 20% of the cases, 100% of the cases. The MDA levels went down, all of them. Okay, so that was one thing. Then they took the blood out and they infected the blood with the mycobacterium infection. Of course, it was against the placebo.
Sure.
People that have mycobacterium infection, the load of the bacteria went down within 4 hours.
Amazing.
The one with the placebo, it went up because it was incubating, so it was multiplying.
Right. It was growing.
It was growing. In the active group, it went down. And so the professor says, hey, wait a second. This is not an antibiotic. How is it helping? How is it working? Right?
Because it's releasing body's natural, enhancing naturally built pathways and defenses that we were born with. We were born into this world to have these defenses.
To defend itself, yeah. And so the defense systems are what? IL-2, was it IL-2, IL-12, interferon gamma, TNF-alpha. All those immune markers went up. In normal cases, I said, oh my God, that's going to kill you because it's too much immunity, too much inflammation. But that went up because it was infected with mycobacterium. So it literally reduced the dose down. And so the thing is, we realize that the body has the capacity to literally fight within hours.
It just needs a little help from time to time.
Help. So if the body doesn't have to clean the whole body, and if that's taking care of it, guess what? It will unleash the potential of human behavior or human immune system to literally regenerate, rejuvenate, and basically detoxify your whole body from inside out. And to me, that was the most profound thing I can ever have, because as much as I love you, Dr. Druz, but trust me, human body can find more problems and fix the problems before any diagnostic tool that we have in our arsenal today can find it.
That is so true. And, and I tell it to my listeners all the time, because patients often, or adults often, would say, oh, my LDL cholesterol is too high, my ApoB is too high. And I always tell my patients, look at it as a signal. It's the red flag that your body is waving at you and says, hey, something is wrong with you metabolically. Something is wrong with you with regard to oxidative stress. Maybe you have immune system out of whack. Maybe you have an infection. This is, hormones out of balance. This is why your LDL all of a sudden is unleashed and it's climbing, right? So yes, it will damage the arteries, but it also is a signal. Nayan, this has been super profound. I learned a ton. So can people get this product at Aura Wellness, or how do people get, glutathione, which they can use topically?
2 ways. One, we only distribute through healthcare practitioners like yourself.
So I
they
have
can
to sign up then.
So
Okay.
you can have it, and they can buy it from you directly, or they can buy it through my website, which is orowellness.com. Please
Okay.
mention this
We will
podcast
drop a link.
or,
Yeah.
or Dr. Drew's name, or we can jump a link in that part. But keep in mind, this was just in 2007. It took me 14 years before I released this product to the public in 2021, because in that 14 years, I had to figure out how much to give you, how often to give you, how long can I give it to you? Am I going to have any issues? Am I going to have results? What kind of results am I going to get? And please, all my work is in my book, The Glutathione Revolution. If you are not going to pick up a copy, trust me, it is not going to make me rich by all means, but it's going to make you so much healthier that it's absolutely worth that read to at least you need to become the CEO of your own health.
That's right.
We are just
that's right. And that's why this podcast is called Own Your Heart Health, because this is what I want every single person to do. Own your heart health, own your longevity. It's up to you. It's not up to anyone else. This has been super. I, will drop all the links in the show notes. I'm just going to say is that I'm so glad you didn't stick with aerospace engineering, because if you did, we would not have had this glutathione breakthrough, which is something that, is absolutely super powerful and, really a longevity benefit, personal benefit that each person, can execute on themselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Own Your Heart Health with Dr. Regina Druz. This podcast is powered by Holistic Heart Centers. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. To learn more about our services, visit holisticheartcenters.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is in the show notes. See you next week.